Welcome to A Gallen of Questions. My name is Pat Gallen, and here in Philadelphia, if you've ever listened to radio, I am almost positive you've listened to the Preston and Steve show, and if you have, you will know my next guest. His name is Nick McIlwain from the Preston and Steve show, 93.3 WMMR. Nick, I'm glad we finally are doing this because we've been talking about it forever. I've known you for like so many years, so it's good to finally catch up with you.
You too, Pat. I'm a fan of yours. I'm proud of you and your success.
Aww.
We've known each other for a long time, and you started as an intern down the hall from us, and then worked at our
pretty
sister
much.
station. Yeah. And look at you now.
Look at me now. Look at us, like the Paul Rudd meme.
Right.
Look at us now.
Yeah.
Look at us. So what I normally do on the show is, we'll talk about your background and all that. But I figured sometimes I just throw 20 questions into a can and we rip them out.
Cool.
And this would be a fun way to do the show. Are you interested in doing it this way?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Nick McIlwain from the Preston and Steve show. Pick number one. We'll see. And it takes us in all different directions, which I find kind of fun.
All right.
Because you never know what you're going to get here.
Which championship do you wish we could have next? Sixers, Phillies, Eagles, Flyers, Union. This is a no-brainer for me. It's the Flyers. All due respect to the other teams. I'm a lifelong Flyers fan.
Okay, fair enough.
My dad was a season ticket holder growing up. I went to Game 3 of the '87 Stanley Cup Finals at the Spectrum, where the Flyers won over the Oilers. And listen, they've not won a Stanley Cup championship in my life. We were talking before this about how old I am. I was born, Pat, in July of 1975, 2 months after
oh my goodness,
the Stanley Cup was won by the Flyers for the second and final time. So my entire life, they've not won. And, I love the team. And we've been lucky enough, I've been lucky enough, you've been lucky enough to experience, the Phillies winning in 2008 and the runs that they've had the last couple of seasons. And obviously what the Eagles did, I think, was enormously cathartic for a lot of Philadelphians.
Thank God we have that.
Yes. And their relatively recent history, what the Phils did in 22 and then again last year felt great, especially in 22 because it was so unexpected. But, I'm a little disappointed in the Sixers and where they've been over the last really 31 years.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
Because they're there. They have talent. And they're so close, and they just can't get over this hump.
They can't get over that hump, and that's frustrating. But I do believe that one way or another, they'll figure out the chemistry. But I really want it for the Flyers. I want it as selfishly as a fan. I want it for the city. In 2010, watching what happened with the team.
Oh, my goodness, that was so fun. Because it came out of nowhere.
Again.
They get on the last day of the year.
Yeah, and that Giroux team and Boucher and Scotty Hartnell and all those guys, I really loved them, and Pronger and teaming in the whole nine. So anyway, for me, it's the Flyers.
It's a great answer. That question was for you, and your answer is the Flyers. So that is correct. Okay, you're stuck on an island. You can only listen to one album. What is it?
Wow.
Since you're a music guy.
Yeah.
Work for a music station.
Probably two records, and for the most part, they're the sophomore records for both bands. Either Verses by Pearl Jam or Crash by Dave Matthews Band. They are both perfect records, following great debut records, Under the Table and Dreaming and 10, respectively.
Yeah.
10 is a great, great album. It got me through a lot of difficult times, but I just like Verses a little bit better. It hit me when I was 18, and so if I need a little bit more of a rocking classic rock style band, it'll be Verses by Pearl Jam. If I need a little bit more mellow stuff to go to bed to, it'll be Crash.
I was going to say, if you were sharing that island with a special somebody, you'd probably rather have Dave Matthews.
That's a great point. Am I on the island by myself?
With the Dave Matthews album, you're not. So that's good. What's your worst on-air moment? Do you have one?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we all do. Sometimes we'll forget who we're talking to.
Yeah.
We had Michael Gross and Meredith Baxter Burney of Family Ties.
Family Ties, yeah.
And they were in studio, and they could not have been nicer. They were doing a play locally. And I asked them what I thought was a smart question, but it just came out wrong. It was convoluted, and I know you've been there, too.
Yeah, that happens.
And Michael Gross, very politely, very kindly, but he just turned to me and he said, I'm not quite sure what you mean. And I just realized that the way that I had said it was so stupid and dumb. And my response, I think, actually was pretty good, which was, I don't think I know what I mean either. But when it came out of my mouth, I was tripping over my words.
You'll always have the story, though.
Right, yeah. And the way that our show works, if you've ever listened or watched on YouTube or whatever, we just keep rolling. And I think it's one of the great things about the Preston and Steve show. Yeah, we roll with the punches, and our good shows are good, our bad shows are bad, but put them behind us, and then figure out what we're going to do the next day. And I really like that about the show.
Didn't expect you to say Family Ties, but here we are. You can throw the other ones on the floor.
Okay.
And clean them up.
All right.
Yeah, get rid of that.
What's it like working with 5 other people on the show? Well, that's a great question, and 98% of the time, it's perfect. It's wonderful. We're a family. It's my other family. It's my work family for sure. We spend a lot of time together. You and I talk about music and sports a lot, and we both know what it takes to win championships, which is chemistry.
Sure.
It's that elusive term that means something and means nothing, but it means everything. And for whatever reason, we have chemistry on the Preston and Steve show.
Works.
It
Sometimes
starts
it's just that simple. It works.
Yeah, it starts at the top with Preston, with Steve. Preston's a great host. Steve is unbelievably funny. His comedic timing is insane. He's lightning fast, and our show is different every day. It's the same every day, which I think people like in Philly, but it's also different every day. We bring something new to the table. So, look, there are days where we want to punch each other, and there are days where, more often, where we love each other.
We want to kiss each other.
Yeah, and I'm lucky. For that.
Great.
I'm grateful for that.
Start, bench, cut.
Okay.
Dave Matthews, Pearl Jam, Mount Joy.
Oh, that is a cruel question.
That's why we're here.
Man, this is unfair to Mountjoy, and I love Matt and I love Sam, but they're too new to the game, and that's their only knock.
They just don't have the catalog.
They don't have the catalog. It's basically 3 records deep at this point. If you don't know Mountjoy, go see them.
Find them.
Yeah, they're at the Man this summer.
We just had Matt Quinn on the show.
Matt is such a great guy, and I'm a huge fan of the band. Sam is just an awesome dude. But their age is what gets them.
They'll get there. Is
Right.
what you're saying.
They are like they're Brandon Graham 2 seasons in, right? They haven't had the experience yet.
Okay,
but they'll get there.
I like that. Now
So,
you got to
man,
pick between Pearl Jam and Dave. Who are you going to bench? Who are you going to start?
I'm going to bench Pearl Jam, and I'm going to start Dave Matthews Band. If you had asked me that question 3 or 4 years ago, I would have reversed them. But I've really fallen in love again with Dave Matthews Band.
Yeah,
I saw them again in Camden a couple of years ago.
because you're one of the biggest Pearl Jam fans I have ever met.
And it goes back and forth. I love both of those bands a lot. But for me, it's been a resurgence of Dave Matthews Band, and a band that I was in love with in the 90s and early 2000s. And then you just kind of drift away and you do in any relationship, right?
Absolutely. Sorry, Matt Quinn.
Sorry, Ed. And yes, sorry, Sam
Sam.
and Matt. Okay. Best hair on the Phillies.
I've been asking this question a lot lately. I think it's a good one because there's some good hair.
There is some great hair.
It keeps coming back to one man.
Yeah. All due respect
Who's on there?
to Brandon Marsh. And Stay Loose and Sexy.
Yeah.
Brandon Marsh. Great band name. It's Bryce Harper.
It's Bryce Harper.
And it's the hair, the flow,
Yeah.
but complemented by the beard. And
is
it's
perfectly
it's
done.
perfect.
It is.
You know?
Makes me mad. The beard, I can't grow a beard
I know.
like that. No one can.
No. Look at this.
This is a tough one. I asked Matt Quinn this, and he said he needed more time. What song should take over for Dancing on My Own as the Phillies playoff song?
Yeah, when you asked Matt that question, I've been thinking about it ever since. I don't have a good answer for you either. But if I may, why do you think Dancing on My Own is so polarizing? Because I love it, but you get crap for loving it sometimes from Phillies fans.
Does it have to do with it just not being a quote-unquote winning song?
Perhaps.
I think that's kind of what it comes down to. And it's a little, look, like, speaking of the genre of music, for a normal Phillies fan, they're not going to the club listening to Robin or Callum Scott. So that's probably why.
And you know, the Garrett Stubbs of the world, those guys that bring that into the clubhouse, it was surprising, but it fit so well with that 22 team. And
it's just so out of left field.
Yes. Great question. How many concerts have you attended in your life? I don't know the answer to it. It's a lot.
Guess.
It's you know, I'm approaching 75 or 80 with Dave Matthews Band. I'm around 40 with Pearl Jam, my 2 favorite bands. The only reason Pearl Jam's not higher is that the whole Ticketmaster fight that they had in the 90s. I just didn't get to see them that much. and they don't tour as frequently as Dave
True.
Matthews.
Yep.
Dave
Yep.
would come down, 2 or 3 times in the summer. They would do 2 or 3 fall dates and winter dates. So I've just seen them a lot. But I work at a radio station, and one of the perks, you get to go to a lot of shows.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I don't mind paying for it, but I'll pay for tickets. But I get, if I'm going to go to a show, I'm spoiled.
Yeah,
I'm going
you
to
are.
buy the good seats
Yep.
and get as close as I possibly can. And
love it.
listen.
What's one other great show you've been to?
Paul McCartney.
Oh, yeah.
Paul McCartney at the ballpark.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
It was.
That was a fun show.
It was incredible. You're seeing a Beatle,
Yeah.
and you're seeing a Beatle perform the Beatles.
If you were not in radio, you would be doing what?
Also a great question. I think I'd be a pretty good teacher. My mom was a teacher.
I agree.
And I love what she did for a career. I love being on the radio and hearing from former students that she had.
That's awesome.
And
Where'd she teach?
She taught at Radnor.
Okay.
And I went to Conestoga, so we're a competing school districts.
That's funny.
But she made a real positive impact on a lot of kids' lives over the years, as well as other people in administration and other teachers. And so I love seeing what she did for people.
Yeah.
And I remember my great teachers. I'm sure you do too. And so
Absolutely,
like that, I think is a real positive effect you can leave on people's lives.
Got to give a shout to your mom, too. And your dad, who's awesome, by the way.
My dad loves you, Pat.
And I love your dad.
Every time I talk about you, he's like, "Oh, he's very good. He's really good on TV."
I
like,
appreciate
"Yeah,
that.
I know."
Thanks, Nick's dad. You know.
Tom McIlwain.
Tom.
Let's shout out Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
And Betsy.
And Betsy.
When your radio career is over, what do you want people to say about Nick McIlwain? I just want my legacy to be somewhere in the same universe as Preston and Steve. Those guys are mainstays. I think we get a lot of credit just for consistency over the years. And we work at a radio station that's also consistent. WMMR has been around for 56 years. And people in Philadelphia see through BS so quickly.
No doubt.
So if stations, personalities are able to stick around for a long period of time, I just would like to have that as be a part of my legacy.
All right. What's one thing you're proud of outside of your career in radio?
I have a great son. And
Very smart kid.
Yeah, he's super smart, and he's been through a lot over his life, and he just rolls with it. His name's Ben, and he's going to be a senior in high school this year, and I just can't say enough good things about him. Being a father's the best.
That's awesome.
As you well know.
Yes.
And a lot of credit goes to his mom. I'm grateful to have a relationship with her that we still have. And
Good.
So, yeah, Ben's a really, really good kid. I'm super proud of him.
That's amazing. Great answer.
Thank you.
Fantastic answer. Go Ben.
Go Ben.
Tom, Betsy, and Ben. The McIlwains.
All right, and Andrea.
And Andrea,
my
you're the best,
fiance.
too.
I love you. I'm proud of her, too. I mean, really. Best show I've ever been to. This is unfair and an easy one. Pearl Jam, October 2013. We got to interview Eddie Vedder before the show, which was a lifelong goal, also a professional goal for a really long time. I worked for Pierre Robert for 3 years. Then I've worked on Preston and Steve's show for nearly 20. We circled everybody else in the band. We got Stone and McCready and Jeff Ament and Matt Cameron, but we never got Ed. And so we worked really hard, and it was Pierre and Matt Cord and I got to interview him beforehand,
Unreal.
which was magical. Then Eddie let us pick out a couple songs on the set list. Then
Get out of here.
Then, Pat, we got a shout out on the stage, and so Eddie says, this one goes out to Nick and Pierre and Matt over there at the WMMR, and I was in the audience, and Eddie Vedder, this
Did you
lifelong.
faint?
I was. I mean, I had to sit down.
I bet.
I couldn't believe that the guy that I revere so much said my name.
That's crazy. Very cool.
And then on top of all of it, it was a great show and a really cool building.
You're never going to forget that one.
Yeah.
My goodness.
That's a highlight.
What's the most fun part of this Phillies team right now?
I'll tell you what. It's this team and the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
They
Kind
are
of the same, pretty much the same.
Yeah, they're really likable. And not that other teams that we've had come through weren't, but there's just something where I really think that they get Philly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's them just saying the right things all the time. And, Bryce is this superstar that we have at a bargain, which is hard to say, but like $330 million is a bargain, but it's true.
For him, it is, for sure.
Yeah. And the starting pitching is unreal. I mean, for the top 8 ERA, I think, at this point. So obviously enormously talented, but top to bottom. We mentioned Garrett Stubbs. Like, Stubbs is a really likable dude.
There,
and you watch those guys in the dugout, and the Wet Bandits after the games, all of it. I'm a huge Phils fan, and I've suffered for a decade, along with the rest of us, from 2012 to 2021. But the last 3 years have really been enjoyable, in no small part because they're really fun to root for and a lot of fun to like.
Nailed it right on the head. They got the stone cold assassins, but they also have the playful characters, if you will.
Oh, I ripped this one.
Ripped it.
Pierre Robert is blank. A mentor, a hero, a mainstay. I worked for Pierre for 3 years. I was his producer and his assistant, and he taught me more than I could ever share. I'm lucky to be friendly with him. We're lucky in Philadelphia to have him. Here's a guy who continues to care, continues to go to a lot of shows.
Yeah.
I mean, he's out all the time.
Stops.
He never stops. I'm just, if you don't know, I feel bad for you because that's how great Pierre is. I mean, we're so lucky to have him. And it was really cool to work for him for 3 years and to learn so much from him. And it's been great to work with him for the last 20 years because I can continue to be his friend. And I'll tell you one quick story.
Yeah.
I was in a room one time, and it was just me and Pierre Robert and John DeBella. And, I grew up listening to those guys, and I took a moment to recognize how lucky I was to be in the room with these two radio legends. And, now I do it with Preston and Steve. It's just, they're enormously talented. They're also good people.
Fantastic. And he's got a great tagline, Good Day, Citizen. Rank your top 3 hiking spots of all time, because you are a hiker.
Yeah.
Loves the outdoors.
I got to hike Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa a few years ago.
That's up there.
And that was the hardest thing I've ever done physically in my life, but I made it to the summit. So that was really incredible. Mount Washington in New Hampshire is tough. I did it with my dad a couple times when I was a kid, and then I've done it since. And I hiked the Kearsarge Pass in between Kings Canyon National Park and the east side of the Sierra Nevada, and it was really hard. And I got up there with my fiance, and we were the only ones there.
Wow! And
we had the backcountry to ourselves. And I went swimming in an alpine lake. It was cool. It was enormously serene and difficult, but the reward afterwards was incredible.
Gotta love that.
Yeah, Kearsarge Pass.
Very cool. All right, we're going to do rapid fire here,
okay.
So we try to get through all of them. If you were a professional athlete, which sport and position would you play?
Oh, man. How great would it be to be a professional golfer? Just to be out on the course.
Like a Scotty Scheffler
who's
winning every week. He steps out there. That good?
Or finishing in 12th every week and not caring
like
so much about
$300,000.
Yeah, being outside every day.
That's a good one. Best sporting event you've ever attended?
Can I give you 3? Does it have to be? All
Quick.
Right. All right. Bryce Harper home run against the Padres in 22. I saw that, to send them to the World Series.
That's a good one.
That same year, 2 years ago, the Rhys Hoskins bat spike, and Harper hit a home run 2 batters later. I've never been in a crowd that electric. That was incredible. 1993, my dad and I went to Game 5 of the World Series.
I was there too.
You were?
Yeah, I was.
Kurt Schilling
shutout.
2-0 shutout, and it kept them alive in a series where they should have at least sent it to 7. But
I sat at the 700 level in dead center field, all the way by Fanavision. I could barely see anything they looked like little ants out there on the field, but I was in the building.
Loudest I've ever heard the vet.
Top guest ever on the Preston and Steve show.
We just had Kevin Costner on the show 2 or 3 weeks ago, and growing up a Kevin Costner fan, that was really, really cool. He told stories. We talked about Field of Dreams. He's got this epic Western that's coming out, and the age of the movie star is kind of declining,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
But for us growing up, having a guy like Kevin Costner, that was really cool. Bull Durham, Field of Dreams,
Heck yeah.
Dances with Wolves. So
What a catalog.
it's a recent one, but
that's a great one.
It was really cool.
All right, we got 2 more.
All right.
Do you own any jerseys?
I do. I have I have a Ben Simmons jersey. That was a gift.
Okay.
I didn't buy it, but Ben Simmons and I share a birthday, so that was like okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I mean, cool.
But like, what do you do with it? Do you throw? I don't know.
No,
You can't
gotta
throw it
keep
away.
it.
Yeah,
You got to keep it.
Eric Lindros, which I have signed by Eric. That was really
very
cool.
cool.
A huge Lindros fan
Yeah,
growing up,
yeah, same.
and a Johnny Leclerc, which is also really neat.
Very cool.
And I have a Phillies one that's it got my name on the back of it. It was a gift from our buddy John Brazier of the Phillies.
Oh,
so
nice.
that was really neat. Yeah.
Johnny B. All right, last one with Nick McIlwain. How bad was my performance at the Camp Out for Hunger?
Underrated. It was your first year,
It
rookie
was.
year. We want you to come back.
I can't wait.
It was a lot of fun. It was a cool new angle on having local sportscasters be a part of it and talking about the Philly community. You guys all support one another, which was really cool.
We did Papa Shot, by the way, for those that don't know. Papa Shot should be a little bit more fast paced, and I wasn't quite there.
It was your first time doing it.
It was.
And you'll be back, and you'll do better. I just felt bad because your mom was there.
Yeah, but my parents were there, and they were embarrassed by me. There's no other way to put it. Nick, this is a lot of fun. Thanks for stopping by, man. So proud of you and the success with you and Preston and Steve and the crew. You're the best.
You're a great host. Thanks for having me on, Pat.
Thank you,
I really
buddy.
appreciate it.
Thanks.